All right, so this video is on the slope formula. We'll be talking about kind of like you guys have always learned the slope formula as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And slope comes from the French word for to climb, which is monter. So that's why it's m. Now there's two ways you can figure out the slope. The old school way, like that a lot of people remember, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that's fine. That will work. But today I want to talk more about doing this slope this way, which is change in y over change in x. And we're going to use the symbol like a triangle. It's called delta for y and for x. So delta y, delta x. All right? So that's change in y over change in x. So let's take a moment and try to find the slope for these first couple of problems. So let's look at the y values first. So we have x1, y1, we have x2, y2, the first x you see, the first y you see, right? Then the second x you see and the second y you see. Can you tell me how this 1 to 3 is changing? How did I change from 1 to 3? Did I go up, down? What did I do? I added 2. So if I looked at my change in y over my change in x, my change in y is positive 2, right? Let's do change in x in green. So I'm going to take x at 1 and change it to 4. How does 1 become 4? Add 3. So we know that our change in x is 3, and this is our answer. That's it. That's simple as that. So let's look at change in y over change in x again over here. So I want to do change in y over change in x. So what's the change in y in this situation from 4 to negative 2? Did it go up or down from 4 to negative 2? I subtract 6, so I would say negative 6 over, and now I need to do my change in x from negative 2 to 10. Did I go up or down from negative 2 to 10? I went up 12. I had to add 12 to get there, so positive 12. Now, negative 6 over positive 12 will clearly reduce, right? What can you divide 6 and 12 both by to get a, yeah, that's right. 6 and 12 can both divide by 6. So if you divide 6 by 6, you get 1. So I'll have negative 1 now. If I divide 12 by 6, I get 2. And my slope is negative 1/2. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense to you. Okay? So it's change in y over change in x. So let's look at a couple more problems. Just going to slide this here. And we'll have to clearly erase all of this. And let's look at problems number, I guess, 3. We'll do one more, change in y over change in x. So the change in y from 5 to negative 5, change in y, how much did that change? From 5 down to negative 5? Yes?
It would be 2.
Well, actually, because this is from 5 to negative 5, it's going to be negative 10, exactly. Right. I got you. So when you do it this way with your change in x, you have negative 4 going down to negative 8. If I was to do a number line, and I was to show you negative 4, so here's 0, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, so this is negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is negative 8. How do I get from negative 4 to negative 8? I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Agree? So I would say that the change in x is negative 4. So my change in x is negative 4. So if I have a negative divided by a negative, what's a negative divided by a negative? A positive. So we know that this negative divided by a negative is really positive divided by a positive. Same thing. And what can you divide 10 and 4 both by? What can you divide 10 and 4 both by? 2, right? So half of 10 is 5, and half of 4 is 2. And that is my slope for number 3. What I want you to do is pause the video and try number 4. You can pause the video now and try number 4. And then we're going to start talking about a couple of different things, 5 and 6 that are a little bit weird. So pause the video and give number 4 a shot. So your now you tries for this video are going to be 4 I definitely want you to try 4. I want you to try 8. And you'll also probably try number 10. So the now you tries on this video are numbers 4, 8, and 10. Okay? What I want to show you is 5 and 6 real quick. So I want to do on number 5, I want to do change in y over change in x. So if I was to look at the change in y here on this guy right here, number 5. How is my y, if this is my y1 and this is my y2, how did my y change from 9 to 9? How did that change? 0. It didn't change. y2 minus y1, I mean, is going to be 0, but also 9 to 9 is a 0 change. Yes, Kyle? You're close. I had someone tell me that this slope is undefined, but actually it's not undefined. It's slightly different. What's the change from 5 to 3? How do you get from 5 positive to 3 positive? You go down or up? From 5 to 3? Down 2? Okay, so now we need to do 0 divided by negative 2, right? Does that make sense? It's pretty simple. Hey, Siri, what's 0 divided by negative 2? Oh, Siri is letting me down today. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. What is 0 divided by negative 2?
0 divided by negative 2 is 0.
Okay, so Siri knows that 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. If I bring in 0 pizzas and divide it among you, how much pizza do you get? None. That's right. 0 divided by 2 is 0, so this slope is 0. Now, if you remember what that looks like visually, we have, if we think about slope, dude, puff, puff, positive, nice, negative, this is 0, fun, and this is undefined, right? So there are 4 different types of slopes: positive slope, negative slope, 0, and undefined. Let's look at 6 and see what's going on with that. So let's look at our change in y on number 6, and then let's look at our change in x on number 6 and see what's up. So change in y, we go from 8 to 5. Is that up or down? I think that's down 3, right? Agree? And then with my change in y, I go from negative 7 to negative 7. Did it change? Did it change? It did not change. How can we divide by 0? So let's see if Siri responds this time. Hey, Siri, what is negative 3 divided by 0?
You know, that's not nice. Are you trying to scramble my computational cortex?
Yes.
But what is the answer to negative 3 divided by 0? Siri's really failing me in this video, especially with a new phone. She usually has a very funny answer to this one, doesn't she?
No, 0 divided by 0.
Hey, Siri, what is 5 divided by 0?
The same as 6 divided by 0. Undefined.
There you go. She finally gives us a straight answer. So we know that we cannot divide by 0. Dividing by 0 is impossible. So you can not have an answer for this. So this answer is undefined. And we know that that visually looks like this right here, this slope straight up and down. Okay, so I want you to pause the video and try numbers 4, 8, and 10. 4, 8, and 10 are your now you tries. So give this a shot, pause the video, and we will talk in just a second. 4, 8, and 10, please. Okay, so make sure that you have the answers to those. You pause the video and you showed work. So please make sure you've shown work for all of those problems. I do want to give you the answers to those. So the answer to 4 is negative 1/3. The answer to 8 is negative 3/2. And the answer to 10 was 0. That slope is 0. So negative 1/3, negative 3/2, and then a slope of 0. Lastly, I want to talk about this problem right here, okay? I want x to be relevant of time. So I want everything that's in time will be an x variable, okay? And anything that's distance, I want that to be y. So anything that's distance is y, okay? So let's talk about this. Let's read this word problem. You start at home at 8 a.m. and drive to Mr. Pasceri University in Washington, D.C., which is 500 miles away. You arrive at 6 p.m. So can you tell me what x1 is? Like, what time did you start at? x1, the time in the beginning. Would you agree it's 8? Now, this is where it's going to get weird because really, 6 p.m. is not a good way of thinking of it. Did you guys know military time? What is 6 p.m. in military time? 1800 hours. So I'm going to change 6 p.m. to 1800 so that we have military time there, because obviously it's going to be weird because we know this doesn't take negative 2 hours from 8 to 6 p.m., right? It doesn't take 2 hours, it doesn't take negative 2 hours. How many hours does it take? Well, let's not even say that yet. Before you tell me, can you tell me what you would call x2 then? What would you say time 2 is?
X2 would be the distance, like 500 miles.
Well, actually, x is relating to time. So x2 is going to be 18. So I want to know what is the change in x, which is the change in time. The change in time. You said you knew that. 10 hours. Okay, so let's look at this for a second. We know that we need to have change in y over change in x, right? So change in y over change in x. Change in distance over change in time, okay? Change in distance over change in time. Well, we know the change in time, that this took 10 hours. So we took 10 hours to get there. What about the change in distance? So what was our original distance? How far from home were we when we were at home? How far from home were we when we were at home, though? How far, then? y1 is 0. We're at home. We're 0 miles from home, at home, correct? And what's y2? What's our distance to? Where do we wind up? 500 miles? So what's our change in y? How far did we go distance-wise? We know it. It's 500 miles. 500 miles. So we went 500 miles in how many hours? We went 500 miles in 10 hours. So that cancels a 0. So we went 50 miles per hour. That is our slope. That is our rate of change. That is our change in y over change in x, okay? So what I want you to understand is that it all kind of boils down to saying we went 50 miles an hour, and 50 miles an hour is a slope. So it's kind of fascinating. So we're going to kind of wrap it up there. Change in y over change in x. In this case, it was change in distance over change in time, and that gave us the rate at which we went. That's what slope is really about. Change in y, change in x. So let's stop there. Make sure you've done 4, 8, and 10 for the Now You Tries, and make sure you complete anything else that I myself, Mr. Pasceri, asked you to do. We'll take it from there and stop now. So peace.